Okay, so you have everything you need to start recording. You've got your gear, you've got how you're going to record, you've treated your room a little bit better. But before you start recording, let's talk about editing. This is important because there are some things that you can do in the edit, but there are a lot of things that people think you can do in the edit that you really can't. So, over the next few videos, we're going to talk about my editing process, what I recommend, and some things that you can do to edit your own episodes. So let's get into that. Now, first of all, my recommendation is Audacity. There is no shortage of editing software for audio, from Audacity and GarageBand up to Logic Pro and Adobe Audition and a whole lot more. But Audacity is free, it's open source, and it's got a big community, which means that there will be no shortage of tutorials for you. This course isn't an editing course, so it's not going to show you exactly how to edit. You'll get a quick introduction to the interface of Audacity, but as I'll talk about in another video, I actually don't edit my own episodes. I hire somebody to edit my own episodes. I didn't at first, but that was money well spent for me because it's not something that I've become super great at. But that's for another video. My recommendation as you start to edit your own episodes is Audacity. So here are some things that you can edit. You can trim and remove silence. You can level audio so that the loudest parts are closer, volume-wise, to the lowest parts. That way you're not whispering or talking really low at some points and then screaming loudly into the microphone at other points, so that your listener doesn't, hurt their ears or whatever. You've probably watched TV where the show itself is really low and then the ads are super loud. You can also add background music. You can combine and align multiple tracks. This is going to be important if you're doing an interview show, especially if you are recording your audio and then getting your guest audio. You're going to want to line them up and combine them into a single track for people to listen to. And you can remove consistent and low white noise or room noise. This is super important. It has to be consistent and it has to be low. If your dog is barking while you're talking, that's not going to be able to get removed from the audio. If someone beeps their horn as they drive by and you're recording, that's not going to be able to get removed. I should say it's probably not impossible, but you need a pretty high level of sophistication for that. What I'm talking about here is maybe the washer is running and it's getting picked up by your mic and it's running the whole time. That could probably get removed. Any sound that happens when you're not talking, obviously that can get removed. But another thing that can't get removed, for example, or you'll have a hard time removing, is if your audio is coming up in your guest's audio. That's just not something that can simply be removed. That's why you recommend that your guest wears headphones. So I think this is really a really important distinction to make. That's why your environment is so important. You want to make sure that your room is treated properly. You want to make sure you have a decent microphone and that you're recording at a time where there's not a whole lot of noise going on, either, when people are at work or just like when people aren't running around. I have a daughter and I want to make sure when I'm recording that she's not in the basement where my office is, or if she's at school or taking a nap, because if she yells while I'm talking, that's going to show up, and I have a good setup. So that sounded a little bit like a tangent, but I really wanted to drive that point home, that editing is not going to be the be all end all for your recording. Editing will help with the small improvements. You can even make some big improvements. I shouldn't just say small. You can sound considerably better after editing, but it's not a catch-all fix. If your dog barks while you're talking, that's going to be there unless you do the take again. And if you're doing a live interview, that's going to be hard. Okay, so one tip is to record a room tone that is 10 to 15 seconds of silence in your room. Every room is going to have its own sounds, no matter what. And again, this is going to be those low and inconsistent sounds. So, there's in the other half of my basement, there's our HVAC system. There's some things running. Those are low and consistent sounds. And this recording a room tone helps Audacity, or whatever editing program I'm using, helps kill that room noise. Anything that makes it into the computer from the other filters that I have, that room noise will get killed. So when it comes to editing, again, make sure that your room is set up, everything with your pre-recording set up with room acoustics. But editing can help you make improvements, trim some things out if you mess up. Actually, one tip I have is to clap into the microphone. That's going to create a long straight line on the audio line. And then you'll be able to see very easily where you mess up so you can cut and edit that. Also, leave some extra space between the start and the end so that you can edit a little bit more effectively, and you can make sure everything's recording properly. If you think you mess up at a spot, leave space in between the takes, because it's really hard to edit. I know this from experience. It's really hard to slice and edit just at in between, like the pause in between words. So speak slowly, leave some space in between the statements that you're making. This will make the edit easier. And in the next video, we're going to check out Audacity, get a quick tour of some things that you can do in Audacity. Your action item for this video is to download and install Audacity. That'll be linked in the description for this video. If you have edited before or you're interested in using other software, let me know in the comments or in the Student Center. Or if you are trying to do something in your editing program and you're not sure, again, ask in the Student Center. I'm sure somebody there will be able to help you out. But that's it for this video. Again, in the next one, we're going to actually take a closer look at Audacity.